All right, good evening, everyone. I believe that I fixed the low latency and all the buffering and dropping all sorts of frame rates. As you get more involved with this live streaming thing, which I'll record, edit, then post. Like I said, I've been promising you guys more live so we can kind of interact. And anytime you have any questions, please let me know. This is Financial Literacy 101, and we're going to talk about saving for a house, which is one of the most great things you can do with your finances is invest in a piece of property that you can call your own and actually build your wealth and build equity inside of that home. But I also believe before you even start thinking about buying a house, and I am getting a message from YouTube talking about error, but hey, I believe that we're still live. I believe that we're still going pretty good. I see that I really don't have any much latency, but nonetheless, we're going to talk about first and foremost saving that emergency cash. And I'm not going to go over no ramble about how you save for your emergency cash. I'm just going to give you two basic mathematical equations that are easy, okay? That are easy, that anyone can do it. If you want to buy a house, if you want to save for a house, I believe that first you need an emergency fund. And that emergency fund should be at least 10,000. I won't go with the whole 3 to 6 months. I won't go with that of all your house expenses, but I'll say first and foremost, you want to put yourself in a great situation. So $10,000, have $10,000 in your high yield savings for that rainy day. Do not use that. Do not use that money as a down payment, because the logic here is you don't want to get inside of a home, then all of a sudden have a tragedy. All of a sudden lose a job or lose a stream of income or something goes belly up. You start having financial problems and you absolutely have no capital. You absolutely have no revenue. You have no money coming in that can suffice for that missing income. So it is good to have $10,000, okay? $10,000 to kind of fill in the gap. Hey, what's golden, Melanine? Peace and blessings to you too, brother. Or sister. I'm sorry, I can't really see your picture. Excuse me. Nonetheless, you want to make sure you put yourself in a good situation. So here is a 5-year plan for you saving $10,000. And now some of you may, hey man, I don't have 5 years. I have this amount of years. Well, I'm gonna give you some basic math and you can increase as need be. Okay, you can increase as need be. So the 5-year plan is 60 months, saving $166.67 a month. 60 months, $166.67 every month. That will give you $10,000 in 10 months. Now, granted, if you got your money in a high yield savings account, you're going to get there even quicker, because as you are putting money in, that interest that you'll be receiving every month will help you get there just a little bit quicker. Not a lot, but just a little bit quicker, okay? Then the second plan I have, this is more feasible for a lot of you, which this is more tantalizing. This is more delicious, okay? This is more appeasing to you, is a 2.5-year plan. Now, this could be considered a little more aggressive, depending on where your finances are, depending on how much income you have. Now, 30 months, we're cutting the snake right in half. 30 months, $333.33. 30 months, $333.33. And that's your 2.5-year plan. Now, some of the ways to get there I spoke about yesterday on my yesterday video, okay, about disposable income. And the number one thing you can do, you can forego luxuries, okay? You can forego your luxuries. And your luxuries are things that you do not need to live. And some of you may be psychologically tied to entities, materials, objects that you don't actually need to live. Because if you have a goal, then your goal, you should be doing everything to reach that goal as fast as you can. That's exactly what you should be doing. You should not be spending your wealth on frivolous things, talking about you want to buy a house, but you're spending your money anywhere else. Cut your costs, big and small, for a year. Try that, okay? Because if you're going to do the 20-year half plan, you're like, yeah, I got $350 I can save a month. And if you want to buy a house, you and your significant other or you by yourself should have a goal. So cut your costs, big and small, for a year. And if you can, I always talk about side hustles. Make a little money on the side. Try to do that. Maybe you can do a garage sale, or maybe you have some objects you can put on offer up or let go. These are ways you can actually bring in extra income and save it. Okay, and save it. Then deposit all of your savings inside of that house account, because that is where we're trying to get to. Now, you have to remember that $10,000 is your nest egg, is your emergency fund. You're not to tap into that. There are closing costs as well. Now, you may want to start saving anywhere from 2 to 5% of the projected house price, because you have a number in your head. You're like, well, I live here in Alabama. I live here in Texas. I live here in New York. I live here in DC, Chicago, Minnesota, Iowa, Idaho, South Dakota, North Dakota, etc., Hawaii, right? California. And you know how much, or you should know how much, or you should research the amount that the average home buyer pays. And you want to take that house. So let's take $300,000. You need to save anywhere from 2 to 5% of closing costs, so you can have that money on hand. You don't want that to be put back into the loan, if they even let you do that. Okay. Now, there may be some special cases that that I'm not aware of, that they may or may not let you do that. But 2 to 5% of the closing costs you will have to pay out of pocket. You have to soak that up. Now, according to a study, I think they called it the Yardi Matrix, that the average monthly rental price across the U.S. is $1,400. Now, depending on where you are, I pay roughly $1,400, and I live in a 2-bed, 2-bath. I've owned 2 houses in my lifetime, and I know the ups and I know the downs. Now, the ups of it, you want to stay in that home anywhere from 3 to 5 years, so you're building equity, so you get a profit on your return. Okay, ROI, return of investment, because a home is an investment. The longer you stay in the home, the more you improve the home, the more equity it builds up. And it's all sorts of other things I need to tell you when it comes to buying a home. This is saving for a home. Okay, so those are 2 different topics, and I don't want to go too far off. And then you're like, okay, I thought we were talking about saving for a home, because buying a home, right neighborhood, right school district, that way, if you're not going to stay in that home forever, these are things that you actually need to look at. Okay. So if you're in a rental property, and we talked about that, so I paid roughly $1,400. So the Yardi Matrix was right on nail on the head. In different places, like say for instance, I'm originally from Washington D.C., but I live in Washington State. In Washington D.C., this same apartment, the square footage, it's pretty big. Okay, it's pretty big with 2 beds, 2 baths, and I have a California King. And have 2 end tables, a dresser, and a flat screen TV on the wall. All that fits in and is not congested, or, I have a lot of room to move around. Not a lot of room. I have enough room to move around. And the bed is not at the wall. I have probably about maybe 15 to 20 feet, which is pretty good considering how big my bed is. So if you live in a rental property and that is surpassing some of your financial goals that you can actually cut back, you might want to live in a smaller place. Take, for instance, if you have a family of 4 and you're like, well, I have a family of 4, I have a 3-bedroom. You might want to downscale to a 2-bedroom. You and your significant other, and then you and the kids or whoever they may be, bunk beds. And some of you are like, well, I'm a grown ass, whatever, and I'm not going to sleep in a bunk bed. Well, if you want a house, you have to scale back and free up some cash to do the closing costs, and also start paying and think about that home. What about furnishing that home? Don't forget that bills in a home usually go up from a rental property, because usually rental property, depending on where you are, you're not paying sewer in a home you do. You're not paying garbage in a home you do. all right? And the electricity is more because it's a bigger circumference of square footage that you need to actually heat and cool. Okay, that's air conditioning. Some people believe that air conditioning is just cold air. Air conditioning is conditioning the air to be heat or cool. Okay, I'm off of it. Because I hate when people are like, man, you got AC? Yeah, I got AC. It's heat and cool air, guys. Never mind. Never mind. So think about it like this. If you go to a smaller rental property and the savings of that is $300, I'm doing very easy math here, and it's $300, you will save $3,600 that year. $3,600 that year by simply decreasing your rent by $300 by going to a cheaper place. So that will actually help you because when you really think about it, let me think about this. And if you get rid of those expenses for a year, if I do the math correctly, right? Because it's an emotional move. It's an emotional move. You go to a smaller place. You have all this stuff. You're trying to figure out. Like I said, you might need to sell some stuff. But the average monthly rental price hit a record high of $1,400. $1,400 according to the Yardi Matrix, and that was last year. By getting rid of that expense just for 1 year, you could save anywhere from $16,000, which is a smidge above rock bottom cost for a $200,000 home. I know we talked about $300,000 home, but that could just be a drop in the bucket for a $200,000 home. You need to cut your luxuries. You need to cut those comfortable things that make you feel so warm inside. You might have to cut them. Now, give me a moment. Okay, so gold and melanin. Sometimes you have to sacrifice and do what you may not really want to do to get what you really want. I've said that before in a different way, but you are absolutely right. And that's what we're talking about. Sacrifices and cutting back. A fancy cocktail in a bar, a fancy cocktail in a bar. Not your local bar, not those local dive bars, but your local bar can be anywhere between 10 to 16, sometimes even $20. Now, if you keep down to 2 drinks a week, that's about $1,600 you could be putting into your house over a year. Over a year. Because some of you go to happy hour every day or 3 days a week or 2 days a week, where you can just buy you a bottle, invite the friends over to the home or their house and take a few shots. And then last but not least, you can make more money. You can make more money. So saving for a home is not as complicated as you may think. It's not as complicated as you may think. And the one question you're probably asking me, because I told you I'm in a 2-bed, 2-bathroom apartment, is like, well, why are you in an apartment? Listen, I won't say I flipped a home because I think flipping a home takes some skill. They try to make it off as easy, but I'm setting up finances, not accruing those extra costs. And I'm trying to plan a strategic move because my mind is telling me, no, I'm kidding. My mind is telling me to buy a multi-family home, live in one side of that home, and rent out the other, okay? Buy a multi-family home, live in one of the units, and rent out the other. Now, I want to buy a 4-unit multi-family home, okay? 2 bedrooms at least per. And I want to live in one of them, okay? Me and maybe a significant other, or if that's even feasible. Then the other 3 I'll rent out. But before I can do that, my finances have to be in order just in case nobody wants to ever move inside those homes. Then I'm like, oh man, I probably need to sell this property if I don't get somebody in here in the next 6 months. But when you buying a rental property, like I will, initially be doing, I have to make up a lease. There's a lot of things I have to do legally, but then it has to be in a neighborhood with access to school bus routes, access to little mini malls and maybe close to a Costco's or a Sam Club or Walmart or a little shopping district. Those things make your property more appeasing, more attractive to people. And then here's another thing. Who do you really cater to as such an apartment of a multifamily home if it's 2 to 3 bedrooms? Is it a small family? Is it college kids? Is it people who just starting off right out of college? Is it a struggling middle class person? It really doesn't matter, but you want access to make that property more appeasing to the people you're trying to bring in. Now, Dr. Daniel Scott, DPT, my mind is telling me no, but yeah, but my mind is telling me multi-family home. Now, I might change my mind tomorrow and say, you know what? I just want to go ahead and buy a single family home and live good and not even do that. But I think at my current age, I have the patience and I have the business sense to buy a property and rent out the rest. Now, optimally, my mind, again, 4 units. Okay, 4 units. I looked in an area here. I think a 4 unit multifamily home was around 600,000. When you really think about it, that's not a lot of money. But when I looked at the property, it was horrific. I'm like, I don't want to live there. The paint was old. And some of these things are very cosmetic. Okay, some of these things are very cosmetic. But when you're like, okay, 600,000, it needs a new paint job. I need to fix up the concrete. I probably need to go get all of the units painted. As I was looking at the property, the amount to get it back to livable was astronomical, in my opinion, because I don't want to take out a business loan. I want to use the money I have in the bank, and I want to use maybe a business loan or a small personal loan. And I absolutely hate loans. That's why I like saving and investing. And I would rather cash out in my investments in order to pay for that property. Now, sometimes getting a business loan, a low interest business loan, can actually boost you while you're not touching your money. You're using their money to buy the property and you're trying to pay that loan back as quick as possible. And again, I'll be living in my own rental property, so I save money there as well. Golden Melanin says the same thing I tell my children with in regards to them moving in with friends. Make sure you can afford it on your own. That's such a wise choice. Well, thank you. And we need to become owners of land and owners of property. We are making people absolutely rich. I mean, absolutely rich renting. Now, granted, renting sometimes could be a good choice for a short period of time. I don't believe anyone should rent over 3 years. Now, some people may still 2 years, 1 year. It's all opinionated. It's all opinionated. But I don't believe that you should rent more than 3 years. 3 years with a hard-nosed, sacrificial plan to really retract on your finances can lead you in the right direction for you to buy either a single family home or maybe a rental property that you can also live in. Now, when you do save for this home, it's okay to put just a little bit of money to the side, maybe $50 a month, so you can have some fun. You're like, you know what? This summer, this winter, I want to take a trip. So I'm going to even squeeze my finances even tighter so I can take a trip to the notorious Vegas, even though once you go to Vegas once, I mean, everything else is just, yeah. Anyway, you see a magician here or there, you walk the strip, you sweat, drink alcohol, you're like, okay, it's legal. Great. That's just me. Now, I saw the Las Vegas show. I saw Chris Angel. I did the Mall Mall. I did a couple of things, but to me, it wasn't a big rah-rah, yeah, I'm going to Vegas. Not a big thing to me. I'd rather go outside the country. But you might have to put that off for a while, which is totally fine. Because your main goal here is saving for a house that then will become a home. So that is what we need to understand, because this is how you begin to build wealth. Now, I didn't think I was going to talk about it, but let's talk about buying a house. Okay, we were saving for a house. Let's talk about buying a house. Some of the things to look out for. Now, they have programs out there for first-time home buyers. FHAs, Fannie Mae. Then you also have, with military and federal government people, you have the VA house letter. I forgot what they call it. Maybe somebody knows what the VA house letter, but you get that benefit of not paying a closing cost. There's some benefits to it. I don't want to get into the details because I don't have notes on that. I'm just speaking off the cuff, speaking off the top of my mind. Some of the things you want to look out for. the neighborhood. And again, I talked about access to different entities as far as school, bus routes. Is it a low crime, high crime, middle crime neighborhood? You actually want to do the statistics of things occurring in the neighborhood. Now, most neighborhoods may have break-ins every now and again when people are not home. Even good neighborhoods that have people breaking in cars, that is totally fine. But we're talking about actual violence on the streets, people getting mugged, people getting robbed, people getting killed. That is not the type of neighborhood you want your rental property in, unless you are catering to a certain people. And that doesn't mean that it's color related, okay? It just means that you are catering to a certain people, whether they be low income, because mostly middle income and high income areas don't have a lot of crime. Because you know why? Those people are working in order to afford that neighborhood. The low crime, low impoverished, they come to middle class and high class and they break inside your stuff. But nonetheless, that is the neighborhoods you want your property in. Now, if you're in certain different states, when I was talking about start saving for a home or a rental property, it's basically a duplex. But a duplex doesn't sound attractive. It doesn't sound sexy. It sounds a duplex. It's like, ugh, right? It's like a low budget apartment. That's how some people look at it. But for myself, multifamily home is definitely more attractive because it's basically a unit that you can, I don't know if you can really word it as a condo or something like that. I don't think you can do that. Yeah, I don't think you can do that. Multifamily home or duplex is probably your best bet. And depending on where you are, some people actually look for duplexes to live in. Now, so buying a home, we talked about crime, we talked about neighborhoods, we talked about access. Now, depending on where you are, you might want to be also have access to public transportation, because all of these are details, are selling points when you're advertising your property, right? When you're marketing your property. And a lot of times you can sell units by word of mouth. You can sell units by word of mouth. Put a listing in the paper. You think people don't read the paper? They still read the paper. Believe it or not, with his online paper. Market yourself on Facebook. Market yourself on YouTube. Wherever you can market yourself. Put out pamphlets, everything. Do everything you can to get people inside that home as fast as you can. Now, if it's a single family home, then you're just looking for the best home for you and your loved ones or for yourself. Now, how much do you want to pay monthly? Right? This is simple. Now, if you have a house again that's $200,000 to $300,000, I advise you, while you're taking this 3 years in that rental property, to work on your credit score. Try to get your credit score over 720. Then your next milestone, try to get it to 750, 800, and perfect credit, because the better your credit score, the lower your interest on your loan. The better your credit score, the lower interest on your loan. Now, credit scores start off, we're talking about the FICO score. That's the Fair Isaac Corporation. Starts off at 300, and the highest credit score is 850. Anywhere from 300 to 680 is considered bad credit. If you have 300 to 680, that's bad credit. If you have 680 to 720, 719, 718, that's fair credit. If you have 720 to 750, that's good credit. If you have 750 to 800, that's excellent credit. From 800 to 850, that's exceptional credit. But the key number that you should be aiming for is 720, because once you get to 720 and you get that good credit score, and most financial institutions, they treat you like you got an 800. So you're going to get that 3, 2, and 1%. And that is what you're absolutely trying to do. Now, I forgot some of, excuse me, but I actually forgot some of the federal streams of help that Obama put into place. And I don't even know if Trump wrote those off or he vetoed those or whatever. He was doing a lot of stuff to reverse a lot of things that Obama was doing according to housing. But nonetheless, you should research those things to put yourself in a better place. So some of the things I just want to go over really quickly that we went over, right? We went over before you even move inside that home or that rental property, have at least $10,000 saved up. Have at least $10,000 saved up. And that's quite easy. We talked about 60 months. 60 months is a 5-year plan that you have to spend save $166, and I believe it was 37 cents or 67 cents, something like that, right? And then for the 2.5-year plan, for 30 months, you will save $333.33, and you want to put that every month in a high yield savings account so you even reach that goal quicker. Now, the national average, according to the Yardi Matrix of 2018, the average renter pays $1,400. Of course, that varies from state to state, but they're talking about on average from the highest, where in DC, a one bathroom apartment, just like in Seattle, will cost you $1,600. Will cost you $1,600, but since we're doing a national average, that brings in all the states, so that goes down considerably lower than what it is. And we also talked about saving for a home, the different ways you can save for a home. And the one thing that you can always do is cut back on those luxuries. Cut back on those things that make you very, very comfortable. And that is your Starbucks coffee. Okay, that is your happy hour. That is your weekly movie. Okay, that's your bowling league that you're a part of. Yeah, you're like, nah, man, I'm addicted to bowling, man. I'm a bowling league for 10 years. Listen, if you want to be in a better place, you're going to have to cut out some things that you've been doing for years. And the reason why you're not in a better place, because you've been doing those things for years. You get what I'm trying to say? There's no room for it. I'm going to read some of you guys' notes. Golden Melon says, that's such a wise choice. Yes, the multifamily purchase is a wise choice. Get your home first, then travel. NACA is another resource helping with home ownership. I talked about the NACA. I don't know if they still have the same rules or not. They changed a lot of the details to apply for that. But they were really looking for low income people. But if you're teetering from the low high or the middle low class, then the NACA may not be the right choice for you. You just have to actually look into that. So you do have to forego some of those luxuries. So that's actually a good thing. Don't even travel, even though some people are like, oh, I've been saving for this trip. What's more important to you? Travel or home? And I don't know that answer. I don't know that answer. Because some people are like, hey, man, I've been saving for this trip for 2-3 years. I'm taking this trip. Take the trip. Yeah, why not? Take the trip. I mean, the easy answer is to say, you know what? Keep saving and save for that home. But you may not be happy. You know what? Sometimes, gosh darn it, you just got to be happy. Gosh, BG Willigers, you just have to be happy sometimes. Go and take your trip, okay? But take your trip on a budget. Don't buy 1,000 souvenirs. I'm just saying. Sometimes you got to do things to make yourself happy. And that's not buying a bottle of 18 to 20-year Balvenie scotch. Oh, I wasn't talking about myself. Yes, I was. But anyway, CN says, nothing good comes out of nothing. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. So right now, if you're living in a rental property or you're living in a home that you don't want to, I just want you to take heed to some of the information that I've given to you tonight so you can be in a better place. And I have to take my own advice. Because I'll go through over my notes and like, hey, what I've learned over the course of all these years of buying homes and buying cars, because cars is one of the worst things you can ever buy, but we love a nice car, right? You love to step inside your Lex. You love to step inside your BMW. You love to step inside your Hyundai Elantra because it got leather seats. Whatever your poison is. We love a nice car. Sometimes we have to sacrifice. Because some of you like, I was just about to go buy a car until you said this. Because some of your cars have minor issues. A friend of mine today, I talked to her and she said, hey, I have an issue. And I'm not going to put her name out there. Hopefully she's watching or she will watch this. She said, I have 2 cars. The car that I'm in now does not start. It's a 2006 Dodge Charger, and it has a problem. I already spent $600 on a mobile mechanic, and he came, replaced the alternator. He did some other things. He told me that I would need to take to the Dodge dealership. I also have a 2012 Dodge Challenger in Georgia. and that also have some minor issues. So I guess she kind of was alluding to that, basically just sell both of them or get rid of both of them and buy a new car. Okay. If your 2012 Challenger costs you $3,000 to get fixed, it's still smarter to keep that vehicle than go and buy a new vehicle because the Dodge Charger only has $1,800 left on it. Now the Charger is the 2006 that doesn't start. She has $1,800 left on the loan. On the Challenger, she has $5,000 left on the loan. And I was like, well, $7,000, you own both cars. Now you can scrap the 2006 Dodge Charger and make money from that, okay, and pay off that 1,800, which I know she got the money. Let's put it this way: she's not a broke lady. She has some money. And then the other thing, you can get that that Challenger fixed, and then you can get the Challenger fixed, and then pay off the Challenger. It's only $5,000. And here's the thing: tax season is upon us. Don't go broke on Christmas because you want to get your kids everything they ask for. Well, my kids. No, you have to sacrifice. So if Tyrone wants the PlayStation 5, it comes out next year, December. Anyway, the PlayStation 4, or he wants 10 games, you might have to give him 2 games. If he wants the PlayStation 4, 10 games, a bike, some saggy pants, a remote control car, and a Boston Dynamic robot dog, I don't know, then you have to say no. Because first and foremost, if you guys are lying to your kids about Santa, I told my son at 5 years old that there was no Santa. And if you saying, oh my God, I can't believe you did that to that kid. If you believe that a fat white guy is coming knocking on my apartment door, giving little black kids in the hood presents, then you are perpetuating a lie. You are perpetuating a lie. There's no white people coming to my home unless they're in the Salvation Army or Goodwill don't do door to door. Or Mormon or what those call those people that come door to door with the white shirts, missionaries. No, no one's coming to your home. Stop lying to your kids. You know what? Tell your kids the truth. Mommy and daddy, or mommy or daddy, are going out working their butts off for you to have a nice Christmas, for you to have a warm place to stay. And I can only afford to get you one of your presents because mommy has a goal. Daddy has a goal. I'm saving for a house. I'm saving for a rental property. So I put you in a better position than I ever was, because when I'm dead and gone, I'm leaving this rental property in your name. So you get residual income every month for the rest of your life. And you know what? In my will, I want to put it in there or in your trust for you to keep buying rental property. Because the one thing that doesn't grow on this earth is property, is land. Now, if you in Dubai, they make their own land. They just build islands off the water. That's when you have this stupid money. But yeah, we need to start perpetuating lies throughout the community, all because we want things to be happy, joy, and free. No, you're working your butt off. My mom, bless her soul, died when I was 12 years old. And she perpetuated that lie till I was around, I want to say 6. And she said she could no longer do it. She could no longer do it. And she said, I work at McDonald's, baby. I don't have that much money. I'm like, what about Santa? Baby, there's no Santa. And then the whole kids' world is rocked because you have psychologically fooled that child for years. Tooth fairies and monsters in a closet and Santa Claus and flying reindeers. Stop lying to your kids about this, because it all boils down to money. It all boils down to money. And quite frankly, you should start teaching your kids about money at the age of 5, at the age of 10, right? And if you have it within your budget, start saving for their school, their college, or their certification on the 529 college plan. I'm getting back on saving for a house. I'm sorry, I get off topic, man. This really motivates me because I think about where I've been. I'm from Washington, D.C., Southeast D.C., just like any other low-income, ratchet, ghetto neighborhood. I'm from where everybody else is from. I'm not any special than that. But I worked hard to get my master's degree. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not done yet. I worked hard to get my Lean Six Sigma green belt. I'm not patting myself on the back because I'm not done yet. I still want to buy rental property. I still want to buy another single family home. I've had 2 houses and I made money off those houses. You know why? Because I did what it takes to do to get those things. Hold on. Let me, man, this is such a home for me. Let me just see, I had to adjust my shirt right there. It's such a home for me because I'm so passionate about us doing well. The first and foremost thing that I had to do was get smart. I thought I was smart, and then I started reading books, and I realized I wasn't smart. And so what I started to do, regardless, whether it was in my, my marriage or not, okay, I'm divorced, whether it was in my marriage or not, I made those kids read at least 2 books every summer with a book report that they took down notes, and any word they did not know, they had to write the word and its definition and use it in a sentence. Okay, 2 books a summer. I let them pick the book as long as it was age appropriate on their reading level or the reading level they should be on. Now, an ex-son-in-law contacted me last year. He had a scholarship to Kansas State, the Jayhawks, Kansas State. And he thanked me. He said, I thank you so much. I hated you because who would want to spend their summer doing book reports? But it helped me because his mind began to expand. No one did that for me. Of course, I would have hated. Anybody would have hated. It's summertime. People going to amusement parks. People are having fun. But guess what? That didn't take them a lot of time because I gave them the books right at the beginning of the summer. Say, hey, your 2 book report. And it helped them to get into Kansas State University with a high SAT score. And he thanked me, and I left him before he even finished high school. And he still called me years later after he graduated college. Think about that. He is now married with his child, and he was calling me to help me with his finances because he's not too skilled in that area. But nonetheless, he thanked me for that. Like, man, that was like 10 years ago. He was 14. Let me read some of your notes. Dr. Daniel Scott says, I know this is the topic. I have over $3,000 invested, 9% return, which is good. The national average for returns for the last 50 years, I talked about this, is 10%. That's pretty good. With Acorns. Unfortunately, I don't like Acorns. I like Stash a little bit better. Do you think it's a worthwhile app? No, I don't. Okay, I could be biased. Okay, and take this with a grain of salt. I could be a little bit biased. I'm not a big fan of Acorns. I was with Acorns when they first came out. Is it a good application for people to use? Yes, if you don't care about transparency, unless they change their app. When I was on their app, they were like, do you want to invest conservatively, moderately, aggressively, moderately, conservatively, moderately, aggressively? No. I want to invest in index funds. I want to invest in individual funds. And I want to know the metrics. I want to know the analytics. I want to know the statistics. I want to know the performance. Like, what are the dividends? How much is it? From the inception of that stock, the inception of that fund, what are the percentages of its return from inception to year to date? YTD, year to date. I need to know ROI, return on my investment. That's what I need to know. And then I also need to know in that index fund, what stocks are in that fund? Okay, what stocks are in that fund? I just don't want you, it's in commodities, it's in real estate. What real estate? See, when I invest with Fundrise as well. When I go on my Fundrise account, it tells me all the lists of property and where they are. It tells me the percentages and the projected percentages, okay? But the whole point I'm making is I know where the properties are. These are real properties. But Fundrise is a real estate investment trust. See, I need to have transparency with my finances. So when Beyond Meat rises 163%, I can do the math and I know how much money I made. And then I can say, well, they ballooned up. Ooh, nothing keeps ballooning up. It usually cools off. Now, either you're going to stay in it or you may sell and reinvest somewhere else. But if you're not a day trader, you shouldn't be buying and selling, buying and selling. I'm going to read a couple of notes again here, guys. Savannah watching. Hey, Missy girl, I'm glad you can join us. Rafael Mendoza, my money makes money. You know where my money makes money, baby. Love the content. Thank you. I appreciate that, Miss Curly Girl. The hits home for me. Currently saving for my home now. And that's what it's all about. It's about having your own. It's about having your, oh, let me put a little a damper on this home thing. I hate to do this. I want you guys to think about this. When I was living in Spanaway, Washington, I had a 3-story home, 4 bed, 4 bath. The 3rd floor was a loft. And behind us was a farm. Now, they didn't have like farm animals, but they had a lot of land because this housing area, they took over new land and built houses, right? Somebody probably sold their farm in that area. So these guys were out there four-wheeling, and it was a gate that separated us and then like this little playground. I was out there recording for YouTube. This is a couple of years ago. And he came up to the gate. I said, hey, excuse me. We just started talking. I was curious about the 4-wheeler because, they made 3-wheelers illegal because they're dangerous. So we talking about the 4-wheelers, and then I led into property and it led into money. Somehow my conversations either lead into money or race. I think they're related. Money and race is related. But anyway, we started talking about that property tax. And I was explaining to him that even when you buy a home, that your home you don't own. And you like, well, yeah, I paid off the deed. Yeah, you might have paid off the deed, but you don't own your own home. And some people, well, Ross World, explain that to me. Okay. Financial Literacy 101. Let me break it down to you quite simply. If you're paying property tax on a home that you paid off for, if you stop paying your property tax, what are they going to do to your home? Don't worry, I'll wait. Don't see any notes. Okay, great. So you can pay off your home all you want, but if you don't pay property tax, they will take your home. They will take your home. That's why it's so imperative to invest right now, to have money right now. So that money is gaining interest because you're going to have to pay property tax. Thank you, Miss Curly Girl. True. So do you really own your home? The only thing you did was pay off your loan. But America, the federal government is saying, you paid off your loan, but you don't really own your home because you still owe us property tax each and every year. Now, my disclaimer about that, when I was talking to this guy, he said, no, we don't pay property tax. This house, this farm has been in my family for something like 3-4 generations, like over 100 years or something, he said. He said, so when they was establishing roads, schools, this, that, and the other, we were grandfathered in some sort of home exemption or something where as long as if it stays in his family, they don't pay property tax. So they're living without property tax. Their farm and home is paid off. They don't pay any property tax. The catch-all, if they sell that home, whoever moves in, they pay property tax because property tax handles your schools, handles your roads, your fire department, your policeman, community services, community resources. It does a lot of things. But depending on how old the property and generations passed on down, you don't have to pay property tax. But at the end of the day, if you don't pay property tax, guess what? Because some of you like, well, I'm going to pay off my home and I'm just going to live and chill. No, you're not. You don't have to pay property tax. Depending on where you are, taxes do this, right? Taxes are kind of like the stock market. They go up and then someone writes some sort of a tax bill and it goes just a little bit down, but then it goes up again. Because right here in Washington State, the sales tax is 10.1%. 10.1. So basically that's saying for every $1,000 you spend, you pay 101 cents on $1,000 for sales tax. Yes, you pay $100 for every $1,000 you spend. So that's $1,100. You spend you know what you can do with $100? Do you know you saw my video? $5 a day, $150 a month, you know, $35 a week. But $150. So that $100 you could be investing in Robinhood, in Webull, in M1 Finance with your little pies, in Betterment, in Acorns. Okay, you can be investing $100, but you're going to spend that in sales tax. This is all taken away from what? Saving for your home. Miss Curly Girl, my family has land like that in New Orleans. See you see what I'm putting down? I'm not telling you fibs here. I'm not lying to you guys. I'm trying to give you the information so you understand. Now, that information doesn't help nobody. It's just good to know information that there's people out there not paying property tax. But for the rest of us, we're going to be paying property tax. And you need to start preparing for that. So for a lot of you people who came on late, thank you for joining us. I'm about to wrap it up here because I don't want to ramble too much because I get very passionate. I get very aggressive and I don't want you to think I'm attacking you through the, the webcam. But these things really motivate me. Today we covered two things. We talked about an emergency funding. We also talked about saving for a house. And then I rambled off into buying for a house. So saving for a house, I believe that you should have at least $10,000. That's for your emergency fund. You should have at least $10,000. You should have your emergency fund before you buy your home. Think of it as if you was building a house. Do you build a house starting off with the walls? Do you build a house starting off with the ceiling? No, you build the house starting off with the base, with the foundation, with the ground up. That's how you build a home without at least 10,000. In my opinion, these are my opinion. Well, at least $10,000 or your projected 3 to 6 months of all house expenses that you think you may have still should be at least $10,000 in my opinion. Then you're not building your foundation. You're not building your base. What you're doing is you're building your walls, and without a base, your home will fail. Your home will fall. It will not be a strong house. Okay, that's what I'm getting at. So you want to prepare yourself with at least $10,000 for your emergency fund, not your down payment. Okay, not your closing costs. Not for those things. This is just, you're going to have that money just in case you're buying a new home. You're so excited. You're exuberant. You're overwhelmed. You're joyed. And you get laid off. Or you have a death in the family that takes away from your job, which, all these things happen in life. Okay, these things happen in life, so you have to prepare for them. You have to prepare for them, and then also a good nugget of information would be after you get that $10,000, have a price in your mind that you don't want to go over, like $300,000 for a home in the neighborhood or the area or the state that you want to live, and then compute 2 to 5%. So I'll say right in the middle at 3.5%, start saving 3.5% of $300 for your closing costs, unless you have some sort of special government exemption or something like that that's going to get you away from closing costs. Because quite frankly, you can wheel and deal the seller when you're buying to, hey, you soak up the closing costs. But nonetheless, you don't know how that deal will turn out. But if you save that money and you don't use it and they soak up the closing costs, then they can actually pay that amount off. And then you can save that money inside your account for a rainy day. Then after that, guys, it's just a matter of your neighborhood. Like, we get off the saving piece of it. And the one thing I want all of you guys to know, and I've repeated this a couple of times throughout the video, is to cut back on your luxuries, to cut back on your expenses. Okay? And I keep naming the same things because people just love these things that I'm naming. Your happy hour after work. You're buying lunch from the local store or in your building or on the block, getting a hot dog or a sandwich. Your Starbucks or your favorite coffee house. Stop it. Make your own coffee. If you wanted it to be like Starbucks, let me tell you how you make Starbucks coffee. You get some Folgers. You get some cream and sugar. You get some whipped cream, you get some caramel, and you just whip it all up. I don't know, guys. But the point I'm making is you're paying $8 a day for coffee. Okay, you're paying $8 a day for coffee. You know, the average Starbucks was people who go to Starbucks. Is it Starbucksters or I don't know what they call people who go to Starbucks. I don't get me wrong. I go to Starbucks every now and again. Don't get me wrong. But some people go avidly. People go like on a routine, a schedule every single day. They got to have their coffee. Their Starbucks coffee, not coffee they can actually make in their home. And granted, if you're getting sugar, cream, and all that inside your coffee, then it's not even coffee. It's just dessert. But anyway, if you cut those expenses out, you know how much money you can save? You know how much money you can save? Now, some of you are saying, well, I don't buy all that. Just buy coffee black, and it's about $5. You're spending $5 a day. Wait a minute. I just thought of something. If you're spending $5 a day, and then you tell me you don't have money to invest, but you spend $5 a day on coffee, wait a minute. 5 times 7, that's 7 days a week, is $35. And then 5 times 7 for 30, 31 days. Oh, whoa, that's $150. Wait a minute. That's investing. $150 a month, $5 a day, that's investing. So just buy your coffee. Just buy your coffee, okay? So I don't want to ramble, guys. I thank you for staying with me this long. I went on a few tangents here. I'm very, very motivated about giving out the information that I believe that's going to help you, which has helped me. Last but not least, I will like to name a couple of books. Some you probably heard before. Of course, I love the Rich Poor Dad series, whether it be real estate or getting out of debt. I love the getting out of debt one because it's just those things are mind blowing. How to get out of debt. How to get out of debt. All right. Also, Unshakable by Tony Robbins, aka Anthony Robbins, the motivational speaker. Unshakable. Now he has another book called the Big Money Game, but I believe Unshakable is a lot better, and that will give you the information that you really, really need and want. You also have Damon John's book, Grind and Rise, Rise and Grind. You also have Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, and you also have Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. That's Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. There's another real estate book that I read. I can't recall. I'm going to have to get that information out to you. But these books are very beneficial. And I know some of you are like, oh, I don't like to read. I like to do the audio book. Well, regardless of which one you do, take notes. Okay, take notes. Highlight, write things down. You like to do it on your drive to work or your commute to work or whatever the case may be. Take notes. I just like a book on some things. Like if it's me just listen to a biography because I just want to learn about a character or something, then that's an audio book for me. But if I want to know the information, I like to really just go through the pages and write stuff down and go back and read it. But whatever floats your boat, guys. I'm just trying to give you the information so you can get where you want to be. Okay, get where you want to be. And that's going to require some education. That's going to require some research. That's going to require some things that you need to do on your own. Okay? All right. So if anybody doesn't have anything else, let me just make sure I read my notes here. Miss Curly Girl said, I'll do better. Good. Hey, look, you and me both. I ain't no saint. I ain't no saint. I just be buying stuff sometimes like, you stupid. Like, I'm a true Amazonian. I'm on Amazon like, wait a minute, I can order that same day, next day, and I don't even need some of the half of this stuff. I'm off of it. Miss Curly Girl, yeah, all those little things add up. Indeed, they do. Indeed, they do. So I thank you guys for staying with me this evening. I believe that some good information came out of this. I thank you for your comments. This is Ross World Financial Literacy 101. Now, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, my email is in the description of this video. Okay, blocklogic28@proton.mail. And last but not least, I do have credit letters that I give out absolutely free. I don't make you guys pay for anything. Thank you, Miss Curly Girl, for your $5 donation. A boy can use it. You know, I probably buy me a new shirt from the dollar store. But no, thank you very much for your donation. I appreciate that. But I have credit letters that I actually had a lawyer to go over, and I'm giving it to anyone who asks for them free. Just request it through my email. Okay, don't try to leave a comment. I look at my email probably once every 2 days, and those credit letters are 3 credit letters that goes out to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And these credit letters are designed to dispute accounts on your credit that is either in delinquency or late or not yours. Now, here's a gray area, and I'm not trying to be mischievous or devious in what I'm about to say. If an account has been on your credit for 2 to 5 years, then chances are they may not have records of your account anymore. And with these letters that I have, it actually follows the FCRA 609 and 611 Federal Credit Reporting Agency Act. Okay, Fair Credit Reporting Act, meaning that these accounts on your credit, they must have your signature in writing in order to keep that on your account. Now, the 3 credit agencies, they're going to do a deep dive. And if those account holders, those organizations don't have your handwritten signature or some sort of proof that this is your account, they must delete it. I've helped people raise their credit score anywhere from 50 plus to 100 points, even sometimes even more than that, because when these places don't produce proof that this is your account, the credit agencies have to delete them. And what is the devious part? What is the mischief part? The mischief part is they're probably your account. They're probably your account. But if the organization didn't do their due diligence, then the credit agencies have to delete it from your account. See, the 609, I get these mixed up. The 609 or the 611 handles inquiries. My letters cover that. And also handle accounts. But you do have to put, your Social Security number, your ID card, because they also need proof that this is you. And these are a series of letters. These are not just one letters. It's three addresses, right? And they're all, you don't have to do nothing but read the instructions and follow it. And the only thing you're doing is fill in an account and account numbers. If your account doesn't have a number to say account number not listed, it's so easy. You don't have to do anything except read the instruction, fill in the information, do what it tells you to do, send them out certified mail, read receipt so you know that they received it. And it's a series of letters. The first letter is to inform the credit agencies. Then the second letter is to enforce what you said the first time, because they try to play these games. Well, how do we know this is you? And how do we know that? Nonetheless, I don't want to get off topic. I just want to give you this information. I'm going to get out of here. Then the third letter basically state, hey, if you don't do your discoveries, if you don't do your investigation, then the fourth letter is you're reporting them to the federal consumer. The consumer government. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared for this particular thing. Usually I do a little more research there. But I have those letters. If you want those credit letters to get things off your credit or raise your credit score because you're saving for your home, then request it through the email I have listed below. Also, there's a link for Stash and some other investment entities to start you off pretty good. All right. That's it for me, guys. My name is Rossrow. This is Financial Literacy 101. My money makes money. And again, thank you guys for joining me. And